video, I will be showing you how to make a super rich, super decadent chocolate cake with really cute rainbow meringue kisses. And it also just happens to be vegan. So it's super amazing. No one will know. So let's get started. To begin with, we should first make the meringue kisses. Now it's not real meringue because normally with meringue you make it out of egg whites and sugar. But what's really magical that people found out was that Aquafaba or chickpea water has the same kind of protein structure when whipped that resembles egg whites. So I'm going to make it in the same way as you would regular meringue. So I have here 80 grams or milligrams of this Aquafaba, and I'm going to pour that into my stand mixer. You could use a handheld one, it's fine. And we're going to whip this up, and once it starts to get foamy, I have here double the amount of superfine white sugar or castor sugar. So we're going to whip that up, and you'll see how big and fluffy it gets, just like real. See, it's starting to get really frothy. And this took about 3 to 4 minutes to get to this stage. Aquafaba does take longer to whip up than egg whites, just so you know. Before I add the sugar, I'm just going to add a pinch of salt, 2 pinches. And I'm going to slowly add in the castor sugar, and I have, again, 160 grams of castor sugar, double the amount of Aquafaba. I'm just going to add this in, 1 spoonful. Okay, so I've added all of my sugar, and this has been whipping on high for several minutes. And what we're looking for when we know it's done is that when we touch the meringue, it's not at all grainy. So let's check it now. And let's see where it's at. Okay, and we're not at stiff peaks yet either. I'm just gonna feel it. Yeah, it's still a little grainy, but not too much. So we're just gonna keep going, probably for 3 or 4 minutes, and this will stiffen up a bit more as well. But as you can see, this really looks just like actual meringue with eggs. So it's preheat your oven to 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, and so to get the really beautiful colors, the rainbow colors, what I have here are some different colors. I have red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. And I'm going to paint the inside of my piping bag fit with the French tip. I'm going to paint stripes of all of these grain-free. Add for a little bit of flavoring, some vanilla extract, a teaspoon, so it takes on that vanilla sweet flavor, and you won't taste the bean juice. I filled up my piping bag with the meringue. Have a baking sheet with some baking paper, and so we're just going to hold the bag vertically, give it a little squeeze, and pull it. Okay, so now we can pop these in the oven for 30 minutes with the oven on, and then we'll turn it off and let it rest in there for 30 more minutes. On with making this really moist and decadent chocolate cake. To begin with, let's mix our dry ingredients. So in this large bowl here, I have 337 grams of plain flour. And to that, I'm going to add 450 grams of really dark brown sugar. Throw that in there. And to make it rise, with a lot of vegan baking, you use a mixture of baking soda with vinegar. So we're going to add 2 teaspoons. That seems like a lot. 2 teaspoons in here. Okay, and then half a teaspoon of salt. And we'll give this a mix. Mix it really, really well. And lastly, of course, we need the chocolate component to that. So I'm going to put this on the scale here, and we're going to add our cocoa powder. You need 112 grams of cocoa powder, so that's quite a bit. This is a very chocolatey cake. And mix those two together. Really wet ingredients for this batter. Here I have some regular coconut milk. This is light coconut milk. You don't have to use the creamiest kind for this. And this is 280 mils of coconut milk. Put that all in. As well as 280 mils of freshly brewed, pretty strong, hot coffee. As well as some coconut oil. And this is, I believe, yes, 112 grams. I measured it in like that, and then I melted it down. So you can throw that in. And now to give our cake the rise we want, and it also will give it quite a velvety texture, kind of like a red velvet. Is the vinegar. And here I have apple cider vinegar, and we're going to do 2 teaspoons. 1, 2. Now the secret here for a lot of vegan cakes is you want to mix quite quickly, pour it in, and get it in the oven. Don't overmix. Don't let it sit around, or else you're going to lose those bubbles that occur from the baking soda and the vinegar, that reaction that you get, and that's what makes it taste really delicious. Okay, so I'm just going to mix these two together really quickly so there's no more lumps. It's smooth, done, and then I have here 3 6-inch tins. These are spring forms, but you could use just regular tins, and I have greased and lined the bottom of all 3. So here we go. And I'm going to pour it into my tins using a scale so I can get about the same amount in each, which saves me on any sort of cutting I have to do later on. All of these weigh about 450. I have the oven, it's been warmed up to 175 degrees Celsius, and I'll bake these for about 25 minutes. My cakes have cooled, and in the end, they actually took 35 minutes to bake. Sorry about that, guys. Normally I make these into cupcakes, so it was a bit of an experiment for me as well. But they look great. Look how dark they are. We're ready to make our frosting, our vegan frosting, and it's going to be a vegan buttercream. And so to make that, you need 250 grams of vegan butter. And if you're unsure if something's vegan, often, I mean, you can read all the ingredients, but often there will be this little vegan sign. It's a little blurry, but it's there. You can see it. 100% plant-based. And we need some dark chocolate, at least 70%. 70, so there's no milk in this. And we also need a lot of powdered sugar. This is 500 140 grams. And sift this well so you don't have any lumps. And we'll need also a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So we're going to beat the butter until it's light and fluffy. Add in our powdered sugar in 2 stages. And then we will add some of this melted down. Chocolate, 180 grams, and it has cooled down now, so now I'm ready to add it to the rest of the mixture. Up nicely, it has a pretty good consistency already, and just remember to scrape down your bowl at least once, give it another spin, and maybe scrape it down and run the machine. Or you could just use a plate, and I put a little bit of the frosting on it. Yeah, here you could get really creative and add different fillings, like cherry would be really nice, or raspberry. Or you could do vanilla in the center, or add some nuts. Okay, I'm just gonna spread this out a bit. I use my fingers as a kind of guide and press down a bit. I'm putting it bottom side up so you get a nice flat top. Again with your fingers. Before I do the top, I'm going to fill in these gaps with the frosting. And this is why a piping bag is a bit easier. Okay, my cake is nice and smooth now. And again, you can do any effect you want on this. And I didn't do a crumb coat, and it's still really smooth, I think. And then you don't have quite as much frosting because this is already quite a rich cake, and so I like that. And what I'm going to do now is add some sprinkles just to the bottom. It helps create a nice kind of clean line on the bottom of the cake. Instead of sprinkles, you could use chopped nuts like pistachios would be really nice, and the green would look great with this. Yeah, pecans, almonds, and I just have some fun rainbow sprinkles here to match our rainbow meringues. So what you do, I have here, my cake is now on a big bowl, and I have a baking tray, and I'm just gonna press these gently onto the bottom. Now make sure you do this pretty much right away, or else the stuff won't stick. So don't be too scared. Just gently press it on the bottom. So as you can see, I'm just doing a little touch. And what's left over, put them back in your bowl, or they'll fall down here and you can collect them later. The key here is don't be too scared. It's gonna be all right. I mean, don't slam it in there, but it's gonna be just fine. So as you can see, with a nice pop of color. I'm satisfied with that. So I'm just gonna brush off the rest. I just have this little brusher. You could use your fingers. I find this doesn't mess up anything, and I just brush it down here, and I can collect these sprinkles. Place them however you like on top of the cake. If you wanted to, you could stick them on more with some extra frosting, whatever you had left over. But they'll stay there just fine. So there you have it. My version of a really fun vegan chocolate cake with Aquafaba Rainbow Meringue. So give it a try. Bye!